What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and talk about the key levels for NIO and what you should be watching for next week. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. And if you deposit $100, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks. So please check it out before they run out, guys. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. You'll also have the chance to win $60,000. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at NIO, I wanted to highlight something very important. If we go back to the month of October, NIO's chart has this setup. First off, we have this nice gap up here around this 14.74 area. And if NIO gets a clean break into the 14s, it's very likely it's going to go for about 14.74 to 15. That could happen if we break past 14. Now, before we do that, though, if we truly are able to do that, we have some key resistance coming up. And this resistance is around this, I don't know, it's like around this 13.5 to 12 zone. What you will notice is NIO spends a long time trading back and forth in this range between 13.5 and 12. And you'll notice that, look, NIO got a nice push up. It looks very, very nice to see NIO doing this. A lot of Chinese stocks are actually pumping. It's awesome, right? And NIO has this nice kind of double top like formation. It pushed up very hard. We do have kind of like an ascending wedge right here, which is kind of a bearish signal that NIO could come down a bit. As long as this thing holds above like 12.5, 12.4, it's going to be in a completely fine state. And in my opinion, I do anticipate that NIO is going to see some chop in these levels. And I say this because of the fact that, first off, we have a lot of resistance coming up around here. But if this thing breaks, if we do start to see Tesla and NIO get these big breaks, there is still likely going to be more room for this thing to push up. So it is still possible. And I was actually a little bit shocked today. I was expecting the market to not be like this strong. It was a little bit stronger than I thought. And that's completely fine. But I'm going to show you exactly why the market came down, why NIO also came down, but why NIO also recovered. But as you guys can see, this accumulation is almost complete in a way, but NIO does have more room to push. If it does keep going, it's about $14. That still is very possible. I'm hoping for that. But what happened to the market? Why was the market trading the way it did? And I want to actually talk about something important and something that could be kind of concerning for lots of you guys. So if we look at SPY, and this actually will affect NIO too. I'm going to show you guys the extended hours. There was this big crash on SPY right before the market opened. That's because the labor numbers came out. We saw a big increase in payrolls, right? The jobs market is still showing strength. That's not the best of things. However, unemployment is at a steady 3.7%, meeting expectations. However, wages are still going up again, up 5.1% year over year. So there are still some red flags out there. And historically, when this data was coming out, the Fed would likely not necessarily cause a soft landing. Uh, Harder, more difficult landing is more likely to still happen. And the Fed, in my opinion, they're going to make a big judgment based off CPI that's coming out on the 13th. I wouldn't necessarily say the market's in the clear to go to all-time highs from here. Downside is still possible. Okay, but we may have another week or two of some more good price action. For NIO, I do believe NIO is looking pretty strong. I do believe NIO may chop a little bit between 13.5 to that 12 zone, like between that range. But I do believe that if the volume remains this high, we keep seeing more buyers come in, this thing could go well over $14 in my opinion. The volume was 105 million. That's pretty nice to see. And the short volume percentage is coming down as I predicted. This is once again a very, very good sign for the bulls that have control over this stock. Additionally, if you look at the put to call ratio on SPY, that still is relatively high. And this is part of why the market is holding up, because market makers do not want the market to come down that hard. And if you look at this volume right over here, the intraday volume, crazy, crazy buying on NIO between 12 and 12.3. Lots of demand in this zone. Very, very awesome to see. Lots of buyers are coming in. On top of that, we're seeing a lot of activity near the end of the day, very consistent volume, and also historically, NIO is actually not as strong on Mondays. We tend to be stronger on Tuesdays, but if this trend continues, I still believe that an uptrend could still be respected. Now, December is historically a more bullish month, like almost 60% of the time. That's a pretty strong month. Hopefully, it does continue this way. And the short interest had a big spike a couple of days ago. I do believe it's going to slowly start to show a downtrend. Once again, more shorts starting to cover, which is a good sign for NIO. But anyways, if you look at NIO, and if I show you guys NIO's after hours charts, you will see NIO also followed the trend. Obviously, yesterday NIO did have this like push. Then all of a sudden, NIO pushed up more and more and more, and this thing came tumbling down to about 11.9. So despite the market taking a huge hit, SPY going down to like 400, NIO actually held around 11.92, which is a good sign of strength. There's lots of relative strength that's looking pretty good. And if you look at the day, huge pump into open, a big drop. And around these levels, like right here, we were seeing lots of buying pressure right here. Institutions were buying, and this thing continued to just go up as the day went on. Now, because of this overall bearish setup, it is possible for NIO to come down a bit. You could see NIO come down to this like 12.4 zone, completely fine, nothing to worry about. Even if we have like a red day on Monday, completely fine, guys, nothing to worry about, as long as we hold certain levels. And then if NIO continues to push again, I think we could quite easily break past 13.25. I'm going to be watching that 13.5 zone. That's where we have lots of resistance. Break above that, 14 plus is very possible, and this thing could fly to 14.75 in my opinion. So we have to watch these zones very carefully. Please note that for Monday, we could see some bearish price action because of the setup if NIO does come down in the after hours. But as long as volume remains high, even if we are a little bearish into open, this thing could still get another nice push and hold these levels. And hopefully by Tuesday, which tends to be stronger than Mondays, we get a bigger push and this thing continues pushing on. That's basically what I have for this video. I'm going to have another video about NIO's deliveries. I really want to talk about something super important. But as of right now, things are looking very good for NIO. I'm very proud of them for their deliveries report, and I do believe we're going to see more innovation to come as time goes on. I'm super, super bullish for the long-term future, guys. I know that right now there's a lot of turmoil around the world. I know that there is still some uncertainty, but at least we're getting a pretty decent rally that was fueled by Jerome Powell himself, or at least the way the market interpreted his words. So please just be very patient, but also be very conscientious, because you have to note the fact that in this market, do not be too fixated on one trend. The market's pushing. Yes, people like it. But note we have CPI coming out in 11 days. Okay? When CPI comes out, everything could change in an instant. So be very, very cautious. But anyways, like I said before, the trend does look more bullish than bearish. So like I said before, just get ready for it. I'm hoping for more upside for NIO, and overall the trend is still looking pretty nice. So we are prepared for it, but we're also prepared for anything just in case. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy your weekends, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.